Aloha, it's me, Dashama. Welcome back. Today I'm talking about a very important topic that has recently come up on social media on Instagram, which was about depression and suicide. And I think a lot of this got spawned from Anthony Bourdain, who was a TV personality who recently committed suicide. But this is a huge topic, and someone posted a comment saying 75% of all suicide is men, and it definitely stems from depression. And so the conversation came around to depression, and I had a lot of experience with depression in my lifetime. So I want to share with you, and if you know anybody who is depressed, has depression, or if you yourself has this or has been experiencing this, the first thing I want to share is depression is 100% curable. I believe that with every ounce of my soul. And some people believe it's only treatable. It's like alcoholism. Some people think that you can never actually recover. You're just always in recovery for your whole life. But I don't believe that at all. And my belief about this is also stemming from my experience with this. And for instance, when I was told by many doctors that I could not cure my scoliosis when I was 18 and hit by a car, and then I went ahead and actually proved them all wrong by curing my own scoliosis and fixing my spine. So I learned very early, at the age of 18, well, a little bit longer than that took me, but that you can truly heal anything in your life. But you have to be, first of all, committed to it. And you have to believe in it, and you have to open yourself up to the possibility of it. If you don't believe it's possible, then of course it's not possible, because many things in life start with the mind. In fact, everything starts with the mind. But going back to depression, so a lot of the reason for depression stems from, the number one reason is disconnection from source energy, or from God energy, God consciousness. Because if you're in alignment with source energy and with your soul completely, it's absolutely impossible to be depressed, because source energy is pure positive energy. And so that's the definite root of it. But on a physical level, there's definitely chemical imbalances, and these can be treated in your life with many different things. So I discovered early on how to cure depression and how to help other people with this. And since then, people have been coming to my yoga trainings and retreats and even my online programs and books. And I get stories all the time, people telling me they got off prescription drug medication that they were taking for depression just from my programs and from the practices that I share. I think this is one of the reasons I was invited to speak at the United Nations for International Day of Happiness, and also invited to be a contributor into a major research project with Warwick and Harvard University, because ultimately it is possible, and I want you to know that. So if you have depression, or you know somebody who has, first of all, have faith. Believe that it's possible. Know that it's possible. Be committed to your own healing. That's number one. As you commit yourself to your healing, the solutions will appear for you. You have to be dedicated and disciplined to take the action and make the effort to do what it takes to get back to your own happiness and healing and joy and love and the good feelings of life. So I'm going to share with you a few stories about myself, very personal experiences that I've had with depression. So hopefully to inspire you, and also to give you hope and courage to follow the path and to do what it takes, because everything is possible. I 100% believe in this, and I hope you can too. When I was 21 years old, I had what would seem to be like the perfect life. I had an amazing boyfriend who was so loving and kind and generous and motivating and inspiring, and really just a wonderful guy, very success-minded, uplifting, and I had a great job. I was making a lot of money and kept getting promoted. I was very good at what I was doing in corporate America, and I was in great health. I was a bikini model. I was doing bikini modeling on the side to make extra money. And I had what would look to be like the perfect life from the outside. Back then there was no really social media, so I wasn't like sharing selfies or something, but you know, it was really, really good. But something happened inside of me, and I developed like a deep disenchantment, you could call it, or dissatisfaction, discontentment with my life. And it led to a spiral of depression that actually led me to be in bed a lot, and I just couldn't find any purpose of life and really a good reason to be alive. And I kept thinking, you know, what is the purpose of my life? And I was thinking of all the bad things instead of focusing on the good things. And it was really a dark, dark place, and it lasted for around a year. And later, looking back, I realized that was part of my spiritual awakening. It was my soul becoming discontent with the superficial reality that was apparently perfect, so that I could awaken and be in touch deeper with my true, deeper spiritual nature. But at the time, I didn't know that, so I was just suffering, and I was oppressed, and nothing could make me feel happy, and nothing could bring me out of this. And I started to read spiritual books, and I remember I read the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. I was trying to read all these books. I was reading As a Man Thinketh every day, trying to get my mind to be positive, but nothing was bringing my mind into the positive. And so finally, I decided to do a search online, and I was looking for inner peace. I Googled inner peace, and I found a yoga program called Yoga and Inner Peace back then. And it was interesting because I'd always been into yoga. Even as a kid, my parents introduced me to yoga. And at the same time, I had never really thought of yoga as a healing modality or something that you could do to transform yourself. I just thought of it as like, you know, another thing you can do, like kickboxing. I was really into all these different workouts and fitness at the gym and sports and stuff. So when I found this Yoga and Inner Peace, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go to this. And it was a 10-week yoga teacher training immersion. I had to get up every day at 4:45. It was interesting because I had that perfect life, and I just gave it all up. I literally quit my job. I broke up with the boyfriend. I walked away from my beautiful 3-bedroom home, which was on this amazing golf course in Boca Raton, Florida. I had like everything, and I just gave it all up because I knew that there was something inside of me, something bigger and something more aligned with my destiny. And going to that yoga teacher training, that transformational journey, changed my life forever. And it was miraculous in a way. But at the same time, when I went through that, I didn't know what was going to happen. I just knew that I needed to be there. And every day we had to get up 4:45. I had to drive an hour to get to this place in the middle of nowhere and meditate and do mantras, chanting, all this crazy chants that I had never heard. And I even asked the teacher, like, what does this mean? And he didn't tell me. He was like, it doesn't matter, just feel it. And I got into the feeling of it, and I just surrendered, and I let go of all my thoughts and beliefs about what is this, and, you know, whatever, all these beliefs that I was carrying about how weird everything was, and I just surrendered to the experience, and I allowed it to transform me and heal me from the inside out. The other thing that changed my life, besides the music and the mantras and the meditation and the breathing, was the service. Like, there was a requirement, you have to do karma yoga, and we had to go and literally clean the studio, we had to clean the toilets, we had to do everything for free. It was part of the program. You had to give back. And it was karma yoga, which is selfless service. And I remember this was transformational for me too. Although I was always a giver, like I had always been involved with charities, and I even started my own, you know, fundraising event when I was in high school. And even as a young girl, I was always involved in these kind of giving back. When I was, I think, 9 or 8 years old, I was a volunteer at the Veterans Hospital, and they would send us to go uplift and inspire the war veterans in the hospital. And I got to go there every Friday when I was in 2nd grade. And then as I got older, I was involved in many different charities. And I remember when I was in high school, I did a fundraising event for I wanted to raise money for the Redwood Forest. So basically I was always into charity, but I never really connected the dots of this idea of selfless service, like doing something you don't want to do just as an act of benevolence, of giving back. So I had to go clean the toilets at the studio for 10 weeks every week, and that also started to change me inside. It was changing my consciousness in ways that I wasn't even understanding at the time, and it completely transformed me from the inside out. And I remember one day I went to the beach, and I was walking along the beach, and it was kind of a cloudy day, so it wasn't too sunny, but the ocean was calm, and it was just this absolute surreal magic as I walked along the beach, and I could just hear that divine angelic music all around me, and it was the only thing that I could hear. It was like this sound of Om echoing through my consciousness, and complete stillness inside, and all the thoughts had dissolved, and I had no thoughts, and I just felt complete total absorption and oneness with everything in existence. And it lasted for hours as I walked along the beach, and I didn't want it to end. Obviously, I felt like I want to stay in this forever. And that experience changed me on such a deep, profound level, at the level of the deepest part of my soul and my consciousness. And I just felt completely in love with the path of yoga and this unfolding experience it was like the lotus flower was coming out of the mud, and it was just blossoming in my heart and in my mind, and I just felt this oneness, and I wanted to share that with the world. And ever since then, it's been 13 years ago, and ever since then I've been sharing yoga and meditation and all these amazing practices with the world. But anyway, so back to depression, just so you can understand, that cured my depression. That cured my depression completely at that time. Now, I will say, fast forward a little over 10 years, I actually experienced depression again because I had gotten myself into such a frenzy of service. For 10 years, I had been just continuously like a machine of giving, and I had become so imbalanced in my giving. I was traveling the world and teaching and making videos and DVDs and books and teaching and speaking and serving and giving, and I would just get to the point I would just give everything away. I would just give everything. I would give so many scholarships, and I would just give and give and give, and I got to a place, and I even created this huge campaign, We Are One Race, for human equality, and I had all these different partners involved with the Miami Dolphins, and I got sponsored with Vitamix and GoPro and Nike, and all these major brands were coming together for this huge humanitarian vision that I had to serve the world and to create this campaign for human equality. And it was interesting because it all came together at this one time. I had just led 2 30-day yoga teacher trainings basically in a row, and a huge charity ball that I hosted in Miami that was for water.org. And it was just like one thing after the other. It was just giving, doing, and I was just completely depleted. And I remember I didn't even realize what happened. I was so depressed, I couldn't get out of bed. I was so exhausted. I didn't know what to do with myself. And I went to the doctor because I had to go there for something else, but I went there, and I remember when I sat down with the doctor, I just started crying and sobbing, and the doctor's like, "What's going on with you?" And I told him, I don't know. I just felt sad and depressed and horrible, and no energy and no will to live and no purpose of life, and didn't understand what I was even here for anymore. And I was so drained and so tired and so sad, and I was just so depressed, and I was crying at the doctor's office. So of course he diagnosed me with depression, clinical depression, and he prescribed me antidepressant medication. And that was a pivotal moment in my life. He gave me this prescription, and I remember looking at it, And I was like, this is a turning point. And I remember I went home and I had that prescription there and I was looking at it and I thought, because I had had many clients and students over the years that were depressed come to me, and I had helped them through their depression, through yoga, through breath work, through exercise, through nutrition, through detox and cleansing, through meditation and mantras and music and all the things that I knew that worked. But for some reason, none of these things were working for me at that moment, and I think part of it was I was too depressed to even do any of those things. I was actually not doing those things. But I felt overwhelmed and I didn't know what to do and I just collapsed. And I was looking at this prescription and I said to myself, Dashama, this is a turning point. You can either give in and be one of those statistics of people that's on prescription medication, which is generally addictive and people don't get off it too easily, or you can apply all the things that you know work and you can shift yourself out of this and you can be a success story that beats depression and help others with this problem. So I decided I'm going to try the natural way, and I went to Whole Foods and I found, I remember, different herbs and supplements that will help with increasing serotonin and dopamine and the different chemicals in the brain, because I knew I needed some extra help. And there's a couple of them. There's 5-HTP is really helpful, and a couple other things. I'm going to add those to my Amazon list. You can see the link here. But basically, there are some very specific supplements that will help shift your brain into a positive, increasing the positive chemicals and the happiness hormones and everything. And then I started running again. And I started running every day. In the morning, getting up early, seeing the sunrise, focusing on gratitude, making a gratitude journal every day, and meditating on light and love and happiness and what I'm grateful for and what I'm here for. And I started to feel a change inside of me, and I started to feel empowered again, started to feel myself coming back. And it was powerful and it was transformational, and it was a turning point in my life. And I just want to share this with you because if you know anybody who's depressed, or even if yourself has that experience or has had that experience or is going through it right now, I want you to know, first of all, that there's hope, and also that you can change that naturally. You don't have to use prescription medications. You can shift yourself. The number one reason that people get depressed is a disconnection from source energy. Source energy is pure consciousness of God. So if you can connect directly with the source of life, which is God consciousness, you can find your way out of depression and you can get yourself back not only to where you were before, but to an even higher, better place. Because when you come out of depression and you really, really heal that inside of yourself, it actually elevates you to a whole new dimension, way above anything that you ever experienced before. Because the lowest that you've ever experienced is actually the contrast to the highest that's possible for you. So actually, in many ways, when you hit rock bottom, it's a gift. Because they say if you can look up, you can get up. And as long as you find something to look up to and you have something to live for, then you can rise above any challenge in life. And I 100% believe that. I've been through it myself. I've helped many, many people through it as well. People have come to my yoga teacher trainings. They were on depression medications and they got off their depression medication in less than 2 weeks before. I've had people come in 2 weeks, get off all the depression medication with a change in the diet, increase in nutrition, increase in the happiness supplements, and detox, juice cleansing, breath, meditation, mantra, positive music, positive people, positive mindset, the miracle morning program, yoga asanas, breath, nature, travel, doing something new, shifting your reality into something positive. All of these things are the antidote to depression. So I want you to understand that you are not alone. Millions and millions of people around the world experience depression. If you know someone who's going through it, have them watch this video and then have them get in touch with me. And they can come to the yoga teacher training, or they can just start at home online. Shifting the energy, shifting the mindset, creating a new reality starts with the mind and the belief that something is possible for you. is the first step. So I hope this video inspires you or people that you know, because this is something that does not need to lead to suicide. You can turn this around just like any other negative emotion and transmute it into a positive, and actually you can actually find your life purpose in your deepest pain. And with that, maybe your life purpose is to help others who have been to the rock bottom as well, and to help them to rise above it. So leave a comment, let me know if you have any questions, or share your story. I'm here to support you guys as part of this beautiful community. And click like, share with your friends. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, and let me know if this video is helpful for you, and if you like to see more videos like this. We've been doing the 30 Days of Bliss challenge, and I didn't want to feel one-sided about this. I know that it's not easy for everyone to access bliss. If you're going through the darkest night of your soul, or the deepest, darkest pain of your life, bliss can feel like a million light years away. But it can be accessible to you and to everyone. But you have to work through the darkness in order to get to the light. And I'm here to be your guiding light through all of this beautiful and powerful transformational journey. Leave a comment, let me know what you think, and I'll see you again in the next video. Have a beautiful, blessed day. Namaste.